If he is fixing foundations, why is it that the PMI index shows that business confidence has crashed since the budget?
Mr. Speaker, 2 weeks ago, she stood there and said that she wanted all the investment, all the benefits of the budget, but she didn't know how she was going to pay for it. I noticed that having come here criticising the national insurance rises over and over again.
Mr. Speaker, if he wants to know what Conservatives would do, he should resign and find out. Until then...
Thousands of furious protesters surrounding Downing Street, demanding Starmer's resignation. Not a scene from a political drama, but the stark reality facing Britain's Prime Minister as public trust collapses just months into his leadership. The rage in their eyes tells a story no poll can capture. Ordinary people who feel utterly betrayed. "He promised change, but gave us more of the same," one protester shouted. As winter fuel payments vanish and taxes rise, could this unprecedented display of public anger mark the beginning of the end for Starmer's premiership? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. The silence was deafening as Keir Starmer remained hidden behind Downing Street's black door, while thousands chanted for his resignation. What drives ordinary citizens to such extraordinary measures?
At the CBI conference on Monday, the Chancellor said, and I quote, "I'm clear, I'm not coming back with more borrowing or more taxes. I know that telling the truth to this House is important to the Prime Minister.
We're fixing the foundations. We're dealing with the 22 billion black hole that they left. I'm not going to write the next 5 years of budgets here at this dispatch box."
He's making everything worse. The whole House would have heard him refuse to repeat the Chancellor's pledge, a pledge as worthless as the manifesto promises that he's talking about.
The answer lies in a profound sense of betrayal that has emerged with stunning speed following Labour's electoral victory. Starmer rode to power on a wave of promises, pledges of change, and a commitment to serve working people after years of Conservative rule. His campaign resonated with voters desperate for a new direction. Yet the stark contrast between campaign rhetoric and governance reality has become the defining feature of his young premiership. At the heart of this growing crisis sits a policy decision that exemplifies everything wrong with Starmer's approach. His government's abolition of winter fuel payments for all but the poorest pensioners has triggered widespread outrage. A Savanta opinion poll commissioned by the Liberal Democrats.
He's the one who doesn't know. He's the one who doesn't know how things work. It is not government that creates growth, Mr. Speaker. It is business. The CBI said on Monday that the dots of the government's policy don't join up. They're right, aren't they?
Mr. Speaker, on Monday she said their predecessor, they couldn't decide what their position was. Today they've launched a policy commission asking other people to give them some ideas for government.
Revealed that 59% of the public opposed this policy, with even 46% of Labour voters believing Rachel Reeves was wrong to implement these cuts. As temperatures begin to drop across Britain, this decision has become symbolic of a government seemingly detached from the struggles of ordinary people. The timing couldn't be worse. These benefit cuts arrive precisely when economic pressures on households are intensifying. Many Britons find themselves caught in a perfect storm of rising costs, tax increases, and reduced government support. A far cry from the compassionate governance Starmer promised during his campaign. The emotional toll is evident in the raw testimony of protesters. One former Labour supporter was captured on video directly accusing Starmer of betrayal and cowardice, furiously condemning him for prioritising political calculation over the needs of the people who voted him into office. This sentiment wasn't isolated. It represented the collective anger of thousands who felt lied to by a leader they once trusted. What makes this crisis particularly damaging is Starmer's pattern of response, or lack thereof, during moments of national concern. His tendency to remain silent when public engagement is most needed has created a perception of a leader fundamentally disconnected from working-class struggles. This detachment has proven especially jarring for traditional Labour supporters who expected a government that would champion their interests. The numerical evidence of this broken trust is stark. September's Ipsos monthly tracker poll revealed Starmer's popularity has plummeted to a 3-year low, with 46% of voters now holding an unfavourable view. This represents an unprecedented collapse in public approval for a new government, particularly one that entered office with substantial goodwill and a strong parliamentary majority. Behind closed doors, the situation appears equally troubled. Reports indicate growing discord within Labour ranks, with party officials and MPs increasingly questioning Starmer's leadership style and policy direction. Internal briefings leaked to the press reveal an atmosphere of unhappiness, power struggles, and hierarchical infighting. The Cabinet Secretary, Simon Case, reportedly finds his authority diminished within this fractious environment, hardly the unified front Labour projected during the campaign. Most telling was Starmer's response to the protests themselves. As thousands gathered outside Downing Street demanding accountability, the Prime Minister remained completely absent from public view. No direct engagement, no attempt to address concerns, no recognition of the legitimate frustration being expressed. Instead, Number 10 issued only a brief written statement that failed to substantively address any of the protesters' grievances. This communication failure points to deeper organisational problems within Downing Street itself. Sources suggest Number 10 has become a dysfunctional environment characterised by factionalism and distrust. One insider described it as not fit for purpose, a creaking Georgian terrace lacking both institutional knowledge and technological capability. Without a clear organising narrative or effective management structure, the government appears increasingly unable to respond coherently to the challenges it faces. The dominance of the Treasury in policy decisions has further complicated matters, creating an imbalance that undermines collective decision-making and contributes to the perception of a government driven more by fiscal orthodoxy than genuine concern for public welfare. This dysfunction has real consequences for governance, hindering the administration's ability to address public concerns effectively. What we're witnessing isn't simply a policy disagreement or a temporary dip in popularity. It represents a fundamental crisis of leadership that threatens to define Starmer's premiership before it's truly begun. The scenes outside Downing Street, thousands of citizens demanding the resignation of a Prime Minister just months into his term, would have been unthinkable during the election campaign. What we're witnessing outside Downing Street isn't merely a protest, it's a profound crisis, threatening to define Starmer's entire premiership. The chants demanding his resignation reflect a fundamental breakdown in the government's relationship with the people it claims to serve. To navigate this crisis, Labour needs more than policy tweaks. It requires a complete overhaul of how it engages with the public, moving beyond carefully crafted statements to genuine empathy and action. The government must demonstrate it truly hears the concerns of the working class, the very voters who brought them to power. As winter looms, the question hangs heavy. Will Starmer recognise this wake-up call, or is this the beginning of his government's unravelling?